It's 2011. I'm sitting on my couch, stressed out, clutching the remote, glued to CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC. I'm holding my breath, waiting for the Republicans in Congress to vote to extend my unemployment benefits. Now, I had been unemployed on and off since 2009, and it was rough. So rough, I'm surrounded by boxes because I've got to move out of my loft into a bedroom in my sister's house next week. And I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to pay for the storage unit and the U-Haul truck. And I got to listen to these filibustering knuckleheads label me a 99er, lazy, don't want to work. I'm thinking, lazy? You calling me lazy when you getting ready to take a break from doing nothing from the last time you took a break from doing nothing? It's not my fault Wall Street crashed and too big to fail failed. I've worked hard all my life, as did my mother and my mother's mother before that. I paid my taxes and my dues. Google me. I earned those benefits. And these suited up good old boys with no connection to my life are holding my rent hostage in their little scheme to extend the Bush tax cuts for the wealthy. I'm on my feet. I'm all up in the TV screaming at the top of my lungs, vote, you constipated mitches! And when I heard myself screaming at the TV, pointing my fingers at a Congress that could care less and couldn't hear me, I vowed that I would never, ever, ever let anyone dictate my life, my liberty, and the pursuit of my happiness. I vowed that I would do what I love to do for the rest of my life, no matter what. Now, I'm not going to lie. I was terrified of my uncertain future when I moved into that bedroom in my sister's house. But little did I know, only a few months later, my life would change when I met the moth at a story slam in Detroit. Now, I love stories. I'm a storyteller. I come from a long line of storytellers, old black women from the South who use storytelling to teach, to warn, to entertain, to impart. They could make going to the corner store sound like Lord of the Rings. They were masters. I could only hope to aspire to their greatness. But I threw my name in the hat anyway, and I won. And the moth asked me would I host the new slam coming to Ann Arbor, and I said I would love to. And it was a love fest. They were flying me around the country telling stories. I hosted the season opener in New York. I shared the same stage at the Hudson Theater with Adam Gopnik, Richard Price, and Garrison Keillor. My story was on the Moth Radio Hour, NPR, podcasts. People all over the world were thanking me for telling my story like it was a service. Then one night, I'm on stage in front of a sold-out crowd in Boston of 900 people. I'm telling my story. It had taken 6 years for me to crawl back from the numb of hell and the devastating grief over the loss of my mother to ovarian cancer in 2005. And then 9 months later, my son died of a massive seizure, the result of a brain injury he suffered in a car accident just a few years before. I was a dead woman walking. My future looked like a joyless chore to live. And then I noticed I could hear a pin drop. The audience was breathing with me, leaning forward, waiting for my next word. And I was struck by the fact that I had never been listened to so profoundly, heard so deeply. And in the space of my telling and their listening, the connection was so powerful that I felt anything was possible. I felt love. I felt complete. I felt whole and free, healed. And when I finished telling my story, they applauded my struggle and my journey of overcoming. And I thought, every human being on earth, no matter who they are, should have this experience of being listened to and heard. And that's when I knew this is what I'm supposed to do. This is my calling, my purpose. Now, by now, I had moved into the basement of a friend's home in Ferndale. And I'm sitting in her garden one morning, and I'm thinking, if storytelling healed me, could it heal the city of Detroit? because Detroit was grieving, had been grieving for years, had lost many lives and health and wealth and loss of integrity, loss of freedom of democracy. And when I heard the news report, only 17% of Detroiters turned out to vote in today's election, I tried to remember, did I vote the year my mother and son passed away? As I recall, I could barely get out of bed. And that's when it came to me, the idea for the secret society of twisted storytellers. I would use storytelling with the intention of healing, with the intention of connecting the city of Detroit, with the intention of uplifting the spirits of the people who live here. And out of telling stories, we would heal and transform, become leaders, and take our leadership and transformation into community and make a difference, be of service. I fell in love with the idea. I was so in love with the idea, but I didn't have any money. I was living in the basement. But the idea was so delicious that I sold tickets in advance for $15 to my friends and family. And I rented this funky little theater space with 45 seats in downtown Detroit. It was a sellout, and the 4 storytellers that evening got a standing ovation. And I'm beaming like a proud mother, wondering, could this little social experiment work? Well, we did pop-ups for 8 months until we found a home at the Charles Wright Museum. I moved into a dilapidated neighborhood in Detroit. It looked like Apocalypse Now on steroids. I used to drive up to the front door, call my neighbor, breaker, 19, open the door, I'm coming in. Until I got used to my hood and the 11 people that lived on my block. And then one morning, I saw gentrification jogging through the streets of my neighborhood. Her blonde ponytail swinging in the sunshine. And I was overwhelmed with this false sense of security. But it gave me hope. And in 2013, we won a Knight's Art Challenge grant. And I began to think bigger. If storytelling could connect, heal, and transform Detroit, could it do the same for the world? Well, we became a nonprofit 501c3 with a global mission to connect humanity, heal and transform community, and to provide an uplifting, thought-provoking, soul-cleansing entertainment experience through the art and craft of storytelling, one story at a time. We believe that everyone has a story, and in your story, when shared in community, it has the power to make a difference in someone else's life. We believe that storytelling, like organic fruits and vegetables, is organic therapy, healing, transformation, and celebration. Storytelling is a vital and necessary component to the health and well-being of any community and society. And the storyteller, the soulmate of the storyteller, is a story listener. And in the space between the two, anything is possible. And what I've learned over these years is that listening is a generosity. It's a human kindness. Listening grants being to the experience of others. Listening is a service. It's a revolutionary act. And at its highest level, listening is the possibility of love. So here I am, ladies and gentlemen, doing what I love to do for the rest of my life. And I thank you for your service in listening. I love you too, one story at a time. Thank you.